We are here with Elie Beavis, performance engineer and analyst on Emirates Team New Zealand, heading into your third America's Cup this time. Elie, can you summarize the day for us and tell us which are the main conclusions from a performance analysis?
Yeah, so today it's quite overcast in Barcelona today, and actually when we were leaving the dock the breeze was quite light, and so we started with a bigger jib up, the J2, and then I guess through the day the breeze built. So start of the day we did a few laps, sort of settling into it, and then after a bit of a break we headed off for a bit of a longer session, trying some different modes and stuff, longer straight line action. Then came back in towards the race area and went back to a bit more race related training, and then it was the end of a sailing day, so we progressively went to smaller jibs through the day as the breeze built.
Going into your role of analyzing performance, which are the main metrics and parameters that you are tracking on the water in order to then come back to shore and lead a debrief and try to communicate to the team where are the areas in which they can improve? Yeah,
so it's got so many numbers that come off the yacht each day, so it's figuring out which ones are good to use. So this, I guess the biggest kind of global numbers looked at, that's your speed, your angle to the wind and your VMG, and comparing what we're doing on the water compared to what we theoretically think's possible from the VPP and simulation. So we're looking at those live, the sailors are looking at them live, they're saying, oh, we're going a bit slow and narrow at the moment, or actually we're going a bit fast and wide, and we're finding here with the waves typically being really skewed to the wind that it's quite different between port and starboard tack. So it's like if you're sailing in a dinghy and you've got some leftover swell that's pushing you upwind, then you can go way faster than normal, but then the other way that's more directly into it's pretty painful. So I guess that's a big thing we're looking at this stage up here, and sailing the yacht in Barcelona is in Auckland, the wind and the waves are a lot more square, so here we're learning about these differences tack to tack, what you should do different on those two tacks to get up and down the course as quickly as possible.
And now, after more or less 10 days sailing here in Barcelona, when you sit down and you look at the numbers here compared to the numbers in Auckland, and when you compare days in which you had similar conditions, do you find anything that it's calling your attention, or things that are very different, or where you can find different tendencies?
Yeah, as I was saying, it's quite a lot with those two different tacks that things are a lot more asymmetric. We can look at, the numbers that are coming off sort of a, say, main sheet load, Cunningham loads and stuff, and look at what's happening differently tack to tack, and highlight those to the sailors and check in, is this something you're intentionally doing because there is that different performance tack to tack, or maybe, oh, actually no, they are trimming this way on port, this way on starboard, but that way's better and maybe we'll try to do it that way, or vice versa.
And when going into the other area that you lead, that it's the simulation on the simulators, can you explain a little bit to the audience how you use simulation and what you try to simulate, and which conclusions you can bring out from the simulators that can then be applied on the water?
Yeah, so I guess the simulator's like a video game where the focus has been on the physics behind it. So we're trying to model all the forces that go on in reality as well as possible. The hydrodynamic, the aerodynamic, and all the dynamics of the yacht accelerating, decelerating. So we sort of use the simulator for a few different things. One is sailor training. So say when we're launching the AC40 before going out on the water, the sailors, they spent quite a bit of time on it beforehand to get used to the buttons, and that's why we've had this simulator package which has fancier graphics. It's being sold to youth and women's teams so that they can practice before going on the yacht and learn where everything is. Then a second use is for comparing the performance of different components. So we might do laps with one foil and then change to another foil and go back between them and see if we can pick up any differences where if one's better than the other around a racetrack, as opposed to what it says in a VPP, because around the racetrack you've got manoeuvres, you're coming out of manoeuvres slow, you need to accelerate, you're not always up at full speed. So that's, I guess, the second main use of a simulator.
And when you compare your activities on these last 2 years comparing to the 2 years before the last America's Cup, are there any significant differences? Is it all the same thing?
Yeah, I guess my role this time to last time's very similar in terms of going out on the chase boat when we're sailing, looking at the data. I guess I do other random bits and pieces around the place on various projects, so I guess those are different, but they, I guess, make up a small part of my job. Yeah.
Okay, very interesting. Thank you very much.